Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I told myself that I was going to do a monthly garden tour, more for my sake, so that I could look back and see that there actually was progress in the garden. But it has been so cold and so windy. I think yesterday it got up to like 45 degrees or something. That's it. And it's the middle of June. And today it's a little warmer, and Thursday it's supposed to be close to like mid-80s, so I'm really hoping it is, because I was not made for this kind of weather. And the wind destroyed a lot of my garden yesterday. I haven't really seen everything that's gone on, so I thought I would just walk around with the camera and take a look with you guys. So first thing is, maybe I should go back up here and look. So I have these random pots that are still kind of struggling. They're more of an experiment. I amazingly managed to get these two pumpkin plants to grow, which I really didn't think the seeds were going to germinate, but they did. It's just more of a experiment, these guys. I've been really into trying to figure out how to grow a fall crop, so I decided to start some broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages that I'm going to put into the garden once there's space. And then here is my banana fertilizer that I have fermenting, and I'm going to make a video on that, but it's very interesting. So I have moved these kind of blocked by the wind, hoping they wouldn't get killed, but this tomato plant's looking pretty good. And then I have some ranunculus plants that a friend of mine gave me, and I really hope that they flower. One of them flowers, that'd be so cool. And then another tomato plant that seems to be doing okay, even though it's ridiculously windy. So I come down here, and this first bed, look at all the beans coming up. It really excites me. I must say that at some point over the last month, I can't remember when, my chickens got out, and it's funny. I said something in the last video about how it's so important to keep track of what you plant where. Well, I don't know what I planted where anymore, because my chickens have scattered stuff all over the place, and I have things coming up. I don't even know what they are, but I'm just going to leave them and see. So I know I have beans here. There's some, these are a bush variety, and these are the pole variety, so I need to stake those up pretty soon. And then I have a bunch of cucumbers that are coming up, and I'm surprised they're happy, because it's been so cold, so hopefully this next week will make them happier. And then I've got some flowers that are doing okay. And my potatoes, so the wind was probably the harshest on my potatoes. This one doesn't look bad. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but like, look over here, this one just got smashed. It makes me so sad, but hopefully I've got to get some more soil in the bags too, and hopefully they aren't completely a lost cause, but some of them are okay. Anyways, carrying on, I have some, I think, cabbages here growing, maybe cauliflower, I don't know. I planted a celery there, and then there's some cucumbers kind of coming up that I planted around there, some flowers, and then my kale and my radishes are coming up there. Gonna have to pull some of the radishes pretty soon. But even like the radishes, it's just taken forever for everything to grow this year. I don't know. And then I have this weed that keeps coming up. It's like a viney weed, and I don't know what it is or how to deal with it, but it is coming up everywhere. And I've had it, I had it the last couple years. This is the first year I'm really working on staying on top of it, because I don't want it to take over my garden. So I have a lot of greens back there, which I planted 3 times. So I planted the greens, and then the chickens got in them, and then I planted them again, and the chickens got in them. So then I planted them a last time, and so far we have succeeded in growing some things, but it's just crazy because I should have greens by now. I do have some over here. This bed over here has some back there, but really not much, especially for our family. But hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll be able to eat a lot of our own greens. That would be really nice. So then I have some more potatoes happening here. They seem to be doing okay also. I need to get more dirt in those bags so the potatoes can have more space to grow in. Then I have a broccoli. This is probably the coolest thing to me. This broccoli plant is actually starting to produce broccoli, and this broccoli I planted, and then we had these random, I really shouldn't say random because it can get pretty cold here in the month of May, but I hoped for the best and I planted it kind of too early, and it ended up going through like some ridiculously cold temperatures and survived, and now it's actually growing some broccoli, so that was exciting. I did have to cover it a couple times, but it made it, and even one of my cabbage plants made it too. I think it's that one survived the freezing temperatures. There's my big sage from last year I planted. It's so big and bushy. I'm excited to harvest some of that. Then I've got some carrots and some beets and some carrots, and then there's a bunch of beets planted there. It looks like they're just starting to come up, but that's okay. And some carrots behind that. And I tried, I'm gonna put the name on the screen, the variety of carrots that I tried. They're just better carrots for tougher soils. Our soil is pretty clayey and hard to work in, although it's gotten better over the last few years. We've done a lot of amending of our soil over the last few years and adding a lot of organic matter to it to try and loosen up the soil. So it is a lot better than it used to be, but it's still pretty compact. So I tried the variety of carrots. It starts with a K, but I can't remember it. But I'll put it on the screen. And last year it did pretty well, so I'm hoping this year it does also. And that's another thing, carrots and beets and peas. I'm gonna try and do those three, another planting for a fall crop also, as soon as there's some space in my garden somewhere, along with those cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli. It's so funny, there's like a lonely onion growing there. I remember planting some onions, seeds that had germinated, but that's the only one that managed to live. There's all kinds of stuff growing in here. It's so exciting. And I have dill like everywhere. Dill growing everywhere. This next bed I have sunflowers. I also have sunflowers growing everywhere. So I have a few random onions, some carrots, and there were beets up here too, but I don't think the beets did as well. And some beans. I'm pretty sure that variety of beans is all the bush, but I'm gonna have to go back and check and see how they do. And also I had to wait, it's been so windy today, I had to wait until, I think it's almost 8 o'clock to do this garden tour because the wind, I'm telling you, it's so hard to get used to this wind around here. But we survived, and yeah, it's intense. Okay. So here's another bag of potatoes, a few bags of potatoes, but look at it, the wind just like broke so many of the limbs of the potatoes and the leaves off. It makes me so sad. Hopefully they'll do okay. And then these pots right here were actually just experiments that my girls did for school. They were beans that they'd planted, and I thought about throwing them in the garden, but I didn't really have a space. So I left them there, but now the wind has like killed them all. There might be one or two who'd be okay, but oh well. So moving on here, we have, look at this, just got completely pulled off, so I'm gonna have to figure out a solution to this. I don't know, the wind, I guess, just took it right off of that stake, so I'm gonna have to fix it. Anyway, these are all my peas, and if you saw the video I posted a little while ago, my peas they were really looking wonderful, and then the birds ate them. And I was talking to my mom, and she said that until they're about 6 inches high or more, the birds will continue to eat them. I thought they would just eat the seeds. So I planted them again with my daughter, and then we put a net on top of them, and we're hoping that this time that would help. I didn't do it that long ago, so nothing has really come up yet. I'm expecting in the next couple days it will, with it warming up. And I'm looking forward to that. Peas are probably one of my favorite things to grow in the garden. When we lived in Morocco, we used to buy like bags and bags of peas from the garden that you had to bring home and shell, and we'd work together and shell them. And there's just nothing like fresh garden peas. So over here is where I have my tiny little strawberry patch. There's 9 little plants trying to survive in here. I'll get a few strawberries, probably not much, but that's okay. It's a learning experience. I really think that being so close to this tree, and being that our winters are so challenging, that it's hard to keep things alive from one year to the next. But I have some ideas of what I'm going to do with these strawberries to hopefully make them last till next year. And then I just planted some sunflowers here because you can never have too many sunflowers. Then if you come back here, I have my apple trees. Look at how beautiful they look. Now the odd thing is, and maybe somebody knows something about this, but neither of my apple trees got any flowers on them this year. I don't know if they're still too small. This is the 3rd year they've been here, so I was kind of hoping for something. But they look great, they're super healthy, so that's exciting to me. And then here's the other one. And this one is the Liberty apple tree. It's just so beautiful to me. And then I planted some squash plants in here. None of them seemed very happy when I put them in here, and they're not very happy now. I think it's largely due to how cold it was the last couple days. So I'm just gonna try and love on them the next bit here, and hopefully they'll perk up. Like, they're growing some leaves, but just not super excited. And then look at this garlic. I'm really impressed with my garlic this year. This is getting pretty high. It's growing really well. And the craziest thing is I have been trying to grow rhubarb forever, and in this area before I decided to plant garlic here, and it was never growing because the kids were always stepping on it because they didn't realize what it was. And I've noticed that it's coming up. There's some rhubarb, so I'm gonna leave it alone, and hopefully next year maybe I'll have a decent size rhubarb plant. I know some people think rhubarb, that's like the easiest thing to grow and it grows huge, but for some reason I cannot get it to grow for the life of me. But I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep working at it. Another little discouragement to me was I put in this planter box because I had so many extra plants, and one of them is I had four tomatillo plants, and I had planted 4 of them in here, and it was another thing the chickens destroyed when they got out of their coop, out of their run and into the garden. So I still have 2, which you need at least 2 to get any. So hopefully it's an experiment, and hopefully we'll get some just to try. I just stuck some tomato plants in here to fill in the space. Now over here, it doesn't look like a whole lot yet, but I'm pretty impressed with my tomato plants because when I planted them, they were very sad looking and I was a little worried about them. So I have loved on them a ton. I gave them some fertilizer and just really tried to take care of them. I don't know. And they seem to be doing okay. And then I have some flowers. There's some primroses here. We'll see if they do anything. primroses. Look at it. It's just got a lot of this like sticks and stuff is all from being blown in from the wind. But like even my basil is still, I don't know, it's taken a bit to really get excited here. I'm gonna have to pick some of these, try and make some chai vinegar. I just heard about this chai vinegar. I need to try it. And I've got some more tomatoes, marigolds, and there's my mint. I love mint. It's just, oh, the smell. I feel like, oh, the smell is just so amazing. It makes me kind of just miss Morocco. In Morocco, they drink a lot of mint tea, and you would buy a huge bundle of mint for like the equivalent of like 20 cents. I miss those days so much. And then if this little area ever takes off, which I'm hoping it will, I'm going to be pretty proud of it because I've got my oregano and my thyme and my parsley, which I have a couple other places with parsley. So that one, I think it'll do okay. But I've got rosemary and then some squash I just tucked in there. Hopefully it'll get big about the time I take these onions out. And then I have chamomile and lavender. And I've never grown chamomile before, but I decided to grow it because I really enjoy drinking chamomile tea. So I wanted to grow it and see if I could harvest some. I've always really wanted like a big herb garden. I just thought that would be amazing, and then to be able to just harvest your herbs as you're cooking. I don't know, it just makes me excited. So my onions here, these are the white onions, and I think over there are the red ones. They're doing really well. I'm very impressed with them, especially because they were onion sets, which don't always produce the best onions, because usually those onions just want to go to seed. So see, this one is already starting to want to make seeds, but I'm pretty impressed with these onions this year. Next year I'm not going to buy sets. I'm going to start onions from seed, so that'll be a fun adventure. Now over here, I don't usually grow things over here, but I just had so many extra plants this year. This is my plum tree. It's turning into a plum bush and it's doing okay. But here are my zucchini and here are my yellow squash. So I have a tomato cage around them because our dog would probably just squish them. He's pretty good once the plants get a little bigger, but when they're this small, he doesn't pay attention to them. So that one up there is doing really well. And I just tucked these two in here to see what happened. And then same here, the yellow squash. I tend to overplant a little bit because I guess I figure if I have the plants, I might as well just tuck them in, and then I can always prune or get rid of the ones that aren't doing as well. But if something, you know, I mean, if I have extra, I might as well. But that way, if something's not doing as well, and then I don't end up with an empty space. And you have such a small garden, I don't know, I feel like I can't have empty space. So I have a lot of herbs growing here. Now, I don't know if this is going to survive. These tiny, oh, there was a chamomile there. We'll see what happens. But this Echinacea is what I was growing here. But this wind, all this stuff here is from the wind. Look at all the branches and stuff that's fallen down. I'm going to have to clean that up. This is a beautiful looking oregano plant. And then we have some more parsley here, looking good. And this is a pepper plant. And it's not looking too happy, but we'll see what happens. I think the wind did this too. Ah, the wind! I have another lavender here. I bought more lavender because I thought my lavender from last year had died, but then I realized it actually was coming back. It was just taking a long time. I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time killing plants. So I have sunflowers coming up everywhere, and I know I'm going to have to pull some of them. But it's really hard to do. Look at these. Sunflowers, 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 sunflowers. And there's some other flowers over there that are growing much. I can't remember what those are. And there's the tomatoes that they're just so much happier than they were when I had them in the pots. This one though, it doesn't want to perk up. I don't know. It's still quite purpley. But I think it's my only one. And cilantro. Cilantro. I love cilantro. If there's two herbs that I miss the most from Morocco, it's cilantro and mint, like I mentioned, the mint. But cilantro, I love to grow tons of cilantro, and I preserve it so I can have my Moroccan dishes throughout the year. So I have one flower, makes me so happy. I have a marigold. Here's my red onions. They're doing okay. Not as good as the white, but they're doing okay. So I'll be happy with that. These ones I planted really close on purpose. I'm probably just going to use the onion tops. Look at another sunflower. I'm telling you, they're everywhere. And then these tomatoes aren't doing too bad. I need to get some more tomato cages or some kind of trellis for them, because they're starting to get bigger and it makes me so happy. And then the raspberries. You guys, look at all of these. I think this is one of my proudest things. One of my most wonderful childhood memories was when we had to go to my grandma's house, and she had these huge raspberry bushes and just tons of them. And I'm sure it seemed way bigger because I was a kid, but we had to go and help pick them. And I don't even know how many raspberries we ate, but it was just so fun. Such a good childhood memory. And so I just love picking raspberries, and I think this year we'll have a really good harvest of raspberries. Okay, so the last level, so there's raspberries. I've got mostly tomatoes up here, and then there's a few sunflowers that are gonna grow up. So they're pretty teeny still, but I have, look at this one, is so much better than this one. See, what I do when I'm kind of worried about how one's doing, I might plant something kind of nearby, and then I'll probably just get rid of this one if it doesn't. Oh, there's actually two there, but I might just get rid of those if this is the one that actually end up doing better. Oh look, I have cilantro growing. This is from last year. Oh, there's more growing. See, I cannot kill this because I love cilantro. Look at all these little sunflowers. So that's basically it for my little backyard garden tour. I think I really appreciate doing these tours because it's only June 15th, and I know a lot can happen in a garden, especially like last year we didn't even get our first freeze till into October. So I know a lot can happen, but it's a little bit discouraging when I look at other people's gardens and see how huge they are. When I'm learning garden tips and tricks on YouTube and I see how big other people's plants are, it's just hard not to compare and not to wish that mine were bigger or wonder what I'm doing wrong. But the growing zones are all different, and I know that I have time still, but it'll be fun to do this month to month to see how my garden grows and just to know that I am making progress. I hope you enjoyed.